Alright, today's video we're going to do how to dial in your Odyssey clutch free coaster hub. I know there's already a bunch of videos out there. I've seen them all because I was having problems with my hub. So I was getting this crazy popping sound out of the hub every time I would engage it, and it was driving me nuts. So much so that I put down the bike for a little while so I could figure it out. That's the school bell. So anyway, I ended up contacting Chris at Odyssey, and he gave me some tips, and then but nobody really, I guess, figured out like what the real problem is in the hub. So he sent me some parts, replacement parts. I replaced everything in the hub, and then it still made the popping noise. I figured it had to be a lack of grease, because I put a thin film of grease on every part and it just wasn't any better. It was actually louder with the new parts, and when I looked at all the old parts, nothing was broken, everything looked fine. So I ended up figuring out that it was the grease itself I was using. I was using Fillwood grease, which is grease I've used since I was a kid. The problem with the grease, I think, is that it's too thick. So I ended up switching to Finish Line grease, which is like a white, kind of synthetic-y lithium grease. It ended up doing the trick, but I have some other tips to help you along with the process. The first thing you want to do when you go to adjust your hub or add grease to it or dial it in is to lay the bike on the ground, flat on the ground, not upside down. You want to have the bike driver's side down, just like this. So now that the driver's side down, you can go in and move the little clip back so you have the port open. The other thing I did was I went out and bought one of these. It's a little, I guess, syringe for like medicine to give to babies. Now, once you use it for grease, don't ever use it to give medicine to a baby. I ended up filling it up with grease, and then you use that to go into the port. And grease goes in it, spin the wheel. And you're going to want to do this about 4 or 5 times. And then you want to wait so that the grease actually goes down into the driver of the hub on the inside. Once it's on the inside of the hub, on the inside by the driver, go ride it for a couple minutes, and you'll notice the popping noise goes away. That was the best solution I found for it, was this thing, this little syringe. I actually saw a kid on YouTube who used 2 straws to make kind of a homemade MacGyver style syringe, and it probably worked for him, but it seemed kind of difficult. This thing, I think you can get one at like a boat store for applying resin and stuff. You can probably get them at paint stores and stuff like that. But I was using this bottle right here for a while, and the tip is just too thick. It doesn't go into the hub, and it ends up gunking out. So the best thing was this. So make sure your driver's side down, because that's where the clicking's coming from, or the popping sound. This way the grease gets in and actually drops down into the hub. Also, you want to use the grease that's not too thick. I know some people were saying that they use Tri-Flow. I can see why, because the Tri-Flow would actually help move the thick grease around in the hub. But the best thing is to use a Finish Line grease. It's a white grease. And use this little applicator. Find a little syringe that's got kind of a thick end to it, and get it in there and apply grease. Good luck out there. Lot Life BMX.